It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is the 12th of January. This is the B block, the Bravo block, or what else do we call it, John? The what block?
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
It's the Brad block.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
And we do the top 3 of what Brad thinks is important stuff. And John always makes fun of. Ladies, one more time.
It's time for Brad's Top.
And now it's
number 3.
John. Do you really think you know what I'm going to do in my top 3 today? Do you really think so?
I know. I don't know what you're going to do.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you pretty confident that you knew exactly what I was going to go this morning.
No, I thought you would have like someone very kindly and appropriately thanking us for what we did last week. And I mean, I would like to be surprised to the upside. I checked my email, by the way. I haven't gotten a thank you note, but I'm sure it went directly to you.
I don't think it did. Okay. Big news. The NFL announces that each quarter of each playoff game will be broadcast on different streaming services. This is big news, John. Did you know this?
Are you joking? Okay, because that sounds like totally something the NFL or MLB would do.
In its ongoing effort to make watching football as difficult as possible, the National Football League announced today that each quarter of the playoff games will be exclusively streamed on a different streaming network.
Is this the Babylon Bee?
Yes.
Oh, yes. There we go. Okay.
Here's the official NFL. Or no, this is Commissioner Roger Goodell. We're striving, as always, to give our viewers the worst experience imaginable. Fans who want to watch the entirety of a single game will need at least 4 separate streaming subscriptions. Attempting to watch your favorite team should be expensive, cumbersome, and generally frustrating. We also plan to change without warning which quarters of which games are streaming on which services. It should be absolutely maddening for the fans. You know what's so crazy about this is the story that just hit last week that we briefly touched on last week about FanDuel and the FanDuel sports thing and the Cardinals. Okay, do you know this crazy weird story?
Yeah, I don't think we touched on it last week, though, Brad, but smart me up to it. Didn't FanDuel now say they're not going to sponsor the Cardinals?
No, FanDuel is this company that it's very complicated what happened to this Fox Sports Midwest. It's like, once again, it's one of these crazy corporate merger things where they had to spin it off, and they spun it off to this group, and then they spun it off to that group, and this group bought it. The company that essentially operates the FanDuel Sports Network declared bankruptcy. I don't know if they declared bankruptcy. They missed their payments. That's what it is. They missed their payments to the Cardinals, a bunch of other teams. So by the contract, essentially that voids the streaming agreement between the Cardinals and these other teams. And I believe the Blues are on there as well, too, but they said they're going to stay with FanDuel. So now it's going to come out to the fact that either the Cardinals are going to come up with their own network or they're going to move it over to the MLB.TV site. And I'm going like, how much more complicated can it get? I mean, and see, what's frustrating to me is we had cable. And people complained about cable. Oh, my God, cable was expensive. Oh, my God. But yet, when you had cable, you had this channel where it showed you where everything was. Remember that, John?
Yeah, it's called the guide, right?
Right. You could go to that one page and say, I want to watch this football game tonight. And you'd click a button and bango, there it would be. Now you have to go online and you have to say, okay, where's the Chiefs game tonight? It's on Amazon.com or whatever the hell it is.
Or Apple Television. Which a lot of people don't have. And I can still remember there was a time, I can remember the days of December. There was a time when you could say, I'm going to watch NFL football on CBS this weekend. Or you could, on Monday night, you could say, I'm going to watch Monday Night Football. And there it was on ABC, on whatever, at whatever time period it was, either on Channel 2 or Channel 30. There was Monday Night Football right there, live and going, no problem. And the crazy part of this is people complained about the price of cable. If you get out your calculator, and by the time you take your Hulu subscription, your Amazon, and your Disney Plus, right, and your Apple,
right, and your Paramount Plus and your HBO Max, you're paying.
And don't forget the cock,
right?
Peacock.
You're paying 3 times what you paid for cable. Isn't life wonderful, John? Isn't life wonderful?
It's pretty absurd. Now, I end up watching NFL clips. So yesterday's a good example, and I don't follow NFL very closely, but I'll watch the end of the game highlights via the NFL on YouTube on my television. And so if I had to try to follow what game is on Amazon and what's on the NFL network, I don't think I could do it.
It's just nuts. And it's to the point where I'm thinking to myself, are they? Obviously, that article I read was the Babylon Bee. But to me, it makes so much sense because they've made it so incredibly complicated. And it's to the point where it's like, okay. And not only that, what they've done is they've made it so much where everybody's got their finger in the ocean. Everybody's got their foot in the water, so to speak. And it's to the point where
they're wetting their beak. Everybody has to wet their beak. Yes.
And the interesting part of this is me saying this. Okay, there was a time when Major League Baseball, and the NFL is not nearly as bad, but MLB has gotten really bad. There was a time when the other teams made so much money off of the broadcast rights. How in the world are they going to come up with that kind of money? How many gazillion subscriptions are they going to have to sell to pay for, $100 million shortstops? You know what I'm saying, John?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Now, I will point out a little bit of hypocrisy on your point, because for this segment, if you want to hear the part where Brad mentions food, you got to go to snarfitup.com. And if you want to hear the part where Brad is touting the straight news stuff, you got to go to westplexnews.com. So, Brad, I mean, let's face it. You cut up your stuff and put it in a lot of places too.
Snarfitup.com, where you can get great half off $25 worth of food at the Hawthorne Inn for only $12. Snarfitup.com, SNARF, snarfitup.com. Ready for number 2, John?
Give it to us, Brad.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
Another important news story. I'll read the headline. Americans now living in fear they could be killed just for hitting ICE agents with their cars. Ready for this one, John?
I saw that, Brad. That's so realistic. We're living in fear. And now, which thing? Which was this the Babylon Bee as well?
I'm not going to say. Following the events,
yeah, it might have been the Babylon Bee, but that was. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's not far from some of the headlines we've seen in national publications over the weekend.
Following the events in Minneapolis this past week, liberals across America are now living under the constant fear of being senselessly shot by ICE agents because they're being hit with cars. Many liberals will not even go outside, fearful that America is no longer safe for people who use their SUVs, who aim their SUVs at a law enforcement officer and accelerate. Quote, I'm petrified. This is an awful new reality we're living in where the federal officers you're trying to mow down could shoot you at any moment, said liberal Jennifer Small. Quote, every time I wave goodbye to my husband, I wonder if this is our last farewell. Is today the day when I will be needlessly killed for blocking law enforcement, refusing to comply with police orders, turning my wheels forward on an officer, and pressing the gas? Democratic politicians have warned their electorate that they are in imminent danger from the police they're trying to maim and murder. Quote, make no mistake, the people you are running over with your cars could literally kill you, said Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. I'm disgusted that Minnesotans are at risk of violence when committing vehicular homicide, and I'm going to do everything in my power to change that. Okay, what's so bizarre about that is that's a Babylon Bee story, but it's almost believable. Don't you think, John?
I think absolutely. And if you look at the Kansas City Star over the weekend, because this woman, Karen, her name's not Karen. What was her first name?
I can't remember.
Was it Karen?
No, it wasn't Karen. Her last
name?
name?
I'm sorry. Renee Macklin Good was her name. Sorry, that took me a minute. I was thinking of, Gen X and millennial women names. So I'm thinking Karen because I saw another parody story today that called her Kamikaze Karen. But if you look at the Kansas City Star over the weekend, because Renee Good had lived in Kansas City, the Kansas City Star had pieces that were, of course, romanticizing her, talking about how she was just in her car. She's just a legal observer in her car, and she was mowed down. And of course, we have the pedestalization of this woman.
Have you seen the new video shot on his smartphone by the officer?
Fantastic.
And what's interesting is he approaches the window, she's smiling at him, then he goes to the back, and her wife is saying, yes, those are our real license plates, we don't change them out. So he circles around the driver's side, and her wife is out there trash talking the officer. Trash talking.
She says, you bring a lunch, big boy.
Yeah, and you know what, John, that gave me instant PTSD of one of my former employees, but that's a whole nother story. So then he walks around to the front of the car, and she takes off, and she hits him. Okay, it's clear that he was impacted by her car, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is open and shut case. And the story I read over the weekend was they played this video for the mayor of Minneapolis. He says, that doesn't change my mind at all. She was murdered. Okay, whatever. Now,
and as you have pointed out, I'm sorry, pardon me for interrupting, Brad, but as you have pointed out since day one of the show, folks expected in the Black Lives Matter movement that body cams would show what jerks police are, and it has had the absolute opposite effect.
Okay, I will say this right now, okay? And I'm not making a shameful pitch for my program. Perfect traffic stop. If this lady would have taken my course, which is only $7, she would not be dead today. She would be alive. And once again, my situation is this. I have 2 real-life experiences from this. I worked for a police department, and I had cops tell me all the time about how they would pull somebody over 9 times out of 10 to give them a warning, and the people ended up talking themselves, or actually, yelling themselves into a ticket, okay? It's basic human interaction. If you are kind and considerate with somebody you're dealing with, you're probably going to get the same back. If you're a jerkazoid, you're going to get jerkazoid treatment. And I'm not saying that that's the whole situation here, but once again, these are law enforcement officers who were telling her not to block them. She was driving sideways across the road, and the interesting thing is on the cops, the latest cell phone video that he actually took, the officer that shot her, when he says something to her, she smiles at him like, hey, and then her wife,
she's taunting him, and she's like, I'm not mad at you, bro, or something like that.
Right, and then her wife is trash talking the officer. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've seen enough. I'm thinking to myself, once again, buy my course. It's only $7. I know people are going to. And matter of fact, if you call me up or if you text me at 314-280-8880, I'll give you the coupon code where it essentially will be free. And I'm telling you, it's basic human interaction, and if you have a problem with dealing with law enforcement, I know some cops are jerks, but that's like life. You can go into a restaurant, and 90% of the staff can be very nice, and there's some jerk waiter any place you go. And, John, you worked at a big corporation. What was the jerk to nice people ratio? Wasn't it about like 10 to 1 or something like that?
I was one of the only jerks, Brad. And I think as a promotional vehicle, I think you should pull a WKRP, and I think you should fly over some of these anti-ICE protests in Minnesota, and you should drop PDFs from the sky of your perfect traffic stop. And 1 out of every 10 of the PDFs should have a brick attached to it.
Yes.
Word to Les Nessman.
Yeah. Okay, we ready for number 1?
Give it to us, Brad.
Oh, hold on a minute now.
It's the Brad and John show.
I'm screwed up this morning. Okay, here's number 1.
And now, big finish, Brad's number 1.
Okay.
Brad, I think that was the first time in documented history that you brought the climax early.
Okay, this is not a Babylon Bee story, but it might as well be a Babylon Bee story. Ready for this, John?
Does this have to do with wildlife in St. Louis?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Portland Police Chief cries while admitting DHS was right about Tren de Aragua ties in a CBP shooting. You know this story, John?
No, I do not. What is the mayor a woman?
No, this is the Portland Police Chief.
Okay, well, is she a woman?
I don't think so. I think it's a dude. Here, let me read the article.
And he's crying in public?
Portland Police Chief Bob Day wiped away tears Friday as he addressed new information showing that 2 illegal immigrants shot during a federal immigration enforcement encounter had ties to the violent Venezuela group TDA. Day confirmed a Department of Homeland Security statement identifying the 2 individuals. Luis, I can't even give the names. There's like 14 names here. As Venezuela,
yeah, some kind of Hispanic
name.
Right,
which originally came out as husband and wife. And they were identified as Venezuelan criminal illegal aliens with suspected ties to TDA. Both were shot by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent after Moncada, the driver of the vehicle, allegedly, quote, weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over agents, prompting an agent to fire in self-defense. And here we go. This is what Day says, quote, they do have some nexus to involvement with TDA. We can confirm that. Day said, pausing and choking up. Day said he initially hesitated to disclose suspected gang connection because citing what he described as, quote, historic injustice of victim blaming by law enforcement. He says, I want to speak for just a moment, specifically to my Latino community, Day said. He goes on, let me read the rest of this. It saddens me that we even have to qualify these remarks because I understand, or at least have attempted to understand, your voices, your concern, your fear, your anger, Day said, removing his glasses mid-sentence and wiping tears from his eyes. Quote,
he's such an empath.
This information in no way is meant to disparage or to condone or support, agree with any of the actions that occurred yesterday. And he goes on to say, Day emphasized that he was disclosing the suspected gang ties for transparency only, and that the information should not be interpreted as excusing and justifying the shooting, which remains under investigation. His quote is, but it is important that we stay committed to the rule of law, that we stay committed to the facts, that we stay a trustworthy and legitimate police department for all Portlanders, he said. Day said both suspects remain hospitalized in stable condition or in federal custody. The one gal is suspected of being a prostitute, and the guy is suspected of being her pimp. And both of them have already had brushes with the law. He's had at least 2 DUIs. They were both deported one time before, and they're both on the deportation list. But yet, we can't say anything bad about them because they're Latinos. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Brad, I'm looking at his picture here. What would you say he has in common with Jake Zimmerman?
He's a redhead.
Oh, there we go. Now, to his credit, Jake Zimmerman doesn't cry in public as far as I know.
John, what's interesting that's coming out now with the Somali fraud thing. There's news reports. Matter of fact, on this very show, in this very station, in the afternoon, the guys who do the show are out on the West Coast somewhere. They're on. I think they might be in Seattle or Portland or something.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
Right. Okay. They are bringing up reports from like 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 of local TV stations in Minneapolis, St. Paul, talking about the Somali ring that is defrauding the government. And the interesting part of this is for 8 years, for almost coming up in 8 years, because I think the governor has been in I think he was running for a third term. So he's, let's say, at least 7 years. And remember who the Attorney General of the state of Illinois, or state of Minneapolis is? Do you know who the Attorney General is?
Who is it?
Keith Ellison, who used to be a congressman. Okay, don't you think that if they would have had, like, let's say Eric Schmidt, or maybe our last guy who departed, the 97.1 afternoon, morning, and midday host, Andrew Bailey. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. And then over the weekend, I saw these reports. One I've got right now that says that in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, 89% of the Somali families are on some kind of support from SNAP or something like that. And it's to the point where it's like, okay, there was a time when you became an immigrant in the United States. What was the thing you had to prove? You have to prove that you were not going to be essentially a drag on the American economy. Wasn't that the deal, John, way back when?
That was exactly it. And then your ancestors killed that because they eventually spawned you. And they said, we might as well not even have any requirement. Look what happens when we hold people to a high standard.
And in my case, a low standard. Why is the police chief crying over this? Let's be honest. Let's say, and here's the crazy thing about this is, okay, like if you ever watch The Sopranos, what do the Sopranos have in common, John? What do the Sopranos have in common?
Let's see. They're all Italian.
They're all Italian.
They're all overbearing.
Right. So you could say, so when you're saying that certain Italians have a propensity to be involved with organized crime, is that being prejudice or is that being honest? Get what I'm saying?
That's a fact, right?
And
fact. Let's look at a glorious example to St. Louis's Hill. We can't say the D word that used to precede the Hill, but you know what? They like to build buildings with bricks,
right?
Steal a brick from the work site, take it home and build sheds in their backyard, and also make great Italian food. And generally have porky wives that know how to cook and maybe be involved in a little organized crime.
Hold it. My phone just went off. It's one of my friends who's an Italian, and she's saying, I'm not a porky in Italian. Okay, so.
Wow. Then I would suggest she get a DNA test.
She's not.
And
really
let me guess, she probably has a little bit of hair on her upper lip as well.
Oh, man, John's just going for in pissing off everybody this morning. Okay, we have to take a break.
Hey, you know what? They could just go to Simply Bella and get it all taken care of, Brad.
Oh, man. man, no, you're not going to bring one of my clients into this. Okay, one of my former clients. Okay, we have to take a break. We'll be back with the Crazy Weird Block